Well, it's 6 o'clock, so I'll call this meeting to order. Can you please join me in saying the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty for all. Thank you very much. Start with roll call. Kenny? Here. Guy?
Here.
Nate? Here. Derek's here, and Jeff?
Here.
Yes, perfect, thank you. We'll start with public comment.
There's none.
None this evening, thank you very much. Then we'll go to the student council update, if you could please.
All right. Well, we actually are meeting tomorrow, so there's not a lot to update. But we got the juniors, they were the winners of the toiletry drive, so they got their hot chocolate and donuts. And then they were supposed to be playing the teachers for volleyball, but I don't think we're doing that anymore. And then, let's see, we don't have any updates on the snowball because we're talking about that tomorrow. And the only other thing is we're gonna go to the meadows to play bingo in these upcoming weeks. We just need to find a date, which
Thank you very much. And then next up, we celebrate Fall River.
So for Celebrate Fall River tonight, we have Krista Powers. She has a couple things that she is going to talk about. We're going to start with forensics. So she has a student here that is going to do the forensics thing. I'll let you do your introductions and all of that.
Sure. So our middle school forensics team is quite large this year. We expanded on it. We have 14 current members. And I'm kind of trying to strong arm a few more in that are like on the edge. I feel like I find that perfect piece that maybe they'll want to. Last night was 2 nights ago. Monday night, it's Wednesday. 2 nights ago was our first meet of the season in Rio for a conference. And Kaylee performed in what I feel is probably the hardest category, which is called extemporaneous. So this year, the topic is climate change. So what happens is she gets 12 questions up front, like before the season starts, she researches them and brings articles with her, right? And then 30 minutes before the round begins, she pulls up 5 questions, picks one, puts the rest back, and she has 30 minutes from picking that question to research using just what she brought, write a speech and give this speech. So it's crazy. Even high schoolers avoid this category. But she took second place, or her first time doing it, which was amazing. And she only took second by 1 point. So it was quite impressive. And she's here to perform for you. She obviously prepared the speech ahead of time because 30 minutes. So yeah.
From year to year, weather events that were once rare are now quickly becoming more common. I'm Kaylee, and I'll be informing you of these events and how climate change is affecting them. One of the biggest events climate change has impacted is drought and extreme heat. Temperature records are being crushed month after month. Higher temperatures also cause evaporation to increase, which causes soil to dry out in the summer. This causes drought to be increasingly worse. Warmer temperatures also cause the number of areas impacted to increase. This means more extremely hot days in more places. Extreme heat increases demands on air conditioning as well, fueling carbon pollution. These dry and hot days also impact wildfires. Wildfires are growing in size and speed, putting more people in danger. While climate change affects heat, it also affects cold. The increase in snowfall during winter storms is also caused by climate change. Because warmer temperatures cause more evaporation, there is more precipitation. When it comes to winter storms, overall, winter is getting shorter and milder, but these storms are intense. Earth Justice states that just as drier areas are likely to get drier with risking global temperatures, those areas of the world that have historically tended toward heavy precipitation will only get wetter. More evaporation means more moisture. This means bigger, heavier, stronger, and more occurrences of storms like hurricanes and rainfall. We can expect to see more Category 4 and 5 storms as temperatures continue to rise. Hurricanes draw their energy from warm ocean water. This means that as temperature rise and ocean temperatures rise, these storms will be able to draw from more and more water, gaining more energy, causing them to be stronger and intensify faster. All of these weather events are caused by climate change. Climate change is caused by greenhouse gas emissions. We can cut back on fossil fuels to help slow increasing temperatures caused by climate change to ensure a greener future for all of us.
Excellent.
For middle school.
Was that the exact speech you gave 2 days ago, or do you knew one?
It was different.
Oh, okay.
No, because we
That was
actually,
really impressive. That was a 30-minute or. What grade are you in, Kate?
eighth,
8, okay.
and she's gonna be on my team next year, right?
Yeah.
Right, 'cause I'm taking over high school forensics next year too.
You got a good voice for it.
Thank you. Well, what's impressive too is during her actual performance, she's not allowed to write the speech out. So she gets one note card front and back. I told her just write it all down for tonight. And she can only like skeleton write things out. So it's tough. And you do great. So,
Very good.
yeah.
That was awesome. Thank you.
That was
That
really
takes
good.
skill.
Also it's courage too.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Good life lesson.
Yeah.
The other thing to talk to you about, I know you were made aware of Tomato Sphere a while ago. Blank looks or not, yeah.
Yeah. So it was the tomatoes that came and they, the seeds were on the International Space Station.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, they took a rocket called Dragon, its nickname is Dragon out there, and they spent 6 weeks, some of them, on the International Space Station and then came back. So what we received was a packet, 2 packets of seeds. One was labeled U and one was labeled T. And they're like, we're not gonna tell you what's what, because we want your data. So I actually had both the 7th grade classes set up the entire experiment. Like, we sat down, they brainstormed, we wrote it on the board, like, what do you guys want to test for? How do we set this data table up? How often should we check? Which columns do you want where and how are we doing this? And they planted their own seeds, and every day they came into class, even though they didn't have class, they just popped in to see did they sprout, did they germinate? And we sent the data in because it completed, and what we found out was we had exactly the same numbers of seeds sprout from both. So that tells us that the variable of going to space for not zero gravity, because that's not really real, but microgravity really had no impact on the tomato seeds. So that's awesome because they're looking at, NASA's looking at tomato seeds and potatoes as a possibility of the first type of food source on Mars when they go to grow them. So we also looked at greenhouse possibilities and spectrums of light and how that impacts it. So next year we're going to do that. We weren't allowed to put the seeds in direct sunlight because that would be another variable. But next year I'm going to contact the person that runs this and ask if I can use a grow light like after they sprout, because we really want to do space salsa and connect with Mrs. Litherland's class because she's growing green stuff. They were like, let's make space salsa. But this year we weren't allowed to do that. So their tomato plants died, unfortunately. But the kids are like, we know how to use microscopes now. We're learning about cells. They're like, can we look at our dead plants under the microscope? And we're like, heck yeah, we can. So that's the next plan of action. So.
And I was in there the day that she told them that they ceased to exist.
Yeah.
They were very sad.
Yeah, but they're excited to use the microscopes again. So, yes.
Well, if anything else, you can just grow some regular tomatoes and just make regular salsa.
I thought about that because I figure we can throw them in habitats too or something, and I was at Menards and I bought a grow light. I'm like, I bought it, so.
And they will.
Yeah. I'm gonna put in a plug for my snake real fast. I have a ball python in my classroom. If you guys want to come see it ever, I'm using it for multiple sources of teaching. And strangely enough, it's turned into like a calming pet for some of my students. They'll go over and talk to him and calm down and go back to their seats. Great, so you're welcome to visit.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Krista.
His name is Alfredo. The students named him. We had a naming contest.
Wow. Sounds like some fun stuff going on in science class.
Oh, it's a blast.
Yes.
My happy place during the day. I tell her that I go in there just to get happy. I did.
No.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we're gonna move on to discussion of possible action on school board meeting minutes for December 21st, 2022, the regular school board meeting.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You just think that was actually some category I considered it back in the day, yeah. Yeah.
How'd you do it? Did you get second place? your
I don't
first time?
remember.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
If you got third gear, it's okay. Yeah.
I was saying that was the category I competed in back in middle school also, so it's fun to come and relate.
You know what it's like.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we will take a motion on the minutes from the meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the meetings from the December 21st, 2022 meeting.
I'll second that guy.
We have a motion by Guy, second by Kenny to accept the December 21st meeting minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. No, motion carries. Next up will be approval to accept the treasurer's report.
I've got the two sheets that are always go in there. Last month, I kind of highlighted why the differences that see from last year to this year. But the numbers are very much like they were last year. And when we get to the audit, we'll talk about how tight the numbers were and how that even we were on the expectations. And this one will probably end up being very similar to the audit report of this year. We're running, there's not a lot of fluff in our budget. We're running lean, and you'll see how lean in the audit report we were this year.
I just had a question about like food service. We knew that it would probably be a little lower in revenue this year. Is it tracking with what you?
The other factor is that we're waiting for state monies to come in, federal monies to come in, those are delayed. So it's hard to compare this year to last year, because the timing of money coming in is not the same. I don't know if you ever looked at the number of students eating compared to last year. Have you ever noticed that? Okay, you could maybe think about, look at that, what the numbers eating are from last year to this year.
We'll take a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Nate, second by Guy to accept the treasurer's report. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. And then I'll make the, I'm not gonna see questions. Approval to accept payroll for 1/30/2023 and 2/15/2023 and vouchers 423879 to 423,999 and 2022000253 to 2022000314 in the amount of $445,187.16.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Derek, seconded by Nate. Any further discussion on payment of vouchers? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next up, gifts and donations.
So we're gonna start, we had $1,000 donation from Schumann Printers to go towards the musical. We want to make sure we thank Schumann for their continued support. It sounds like this is a donation they make annually. And so very gracious for their donation for the musical.
We want to thank Elton Construction and Drexel for their donation of materials for a Christmas present donation for the first grade teachers. They had a lot of fun with it, enjoyed doing it. And I enjoyed that they kind of looked like little Red Rider packages when they walked out, and it's kind of like, oh, are we okay here? Like, yeah, looks like that's our Christmas. So thank you, Drexel and Elton Construction.
Then we have a couple of people or groups, VFW, PPO, and the Steers family made donations toward the Washington DC trip that's happening over spring break. I also want to make a plug, if anybody knows of another person or student, adult, or likewise that would like to go on the trip, please reach out to Holly Trotter or Lauren Severson. They are still looking to fill spots on the bus. So if there is anybody that is, on the fence of wanting to go, please share the word that there are still spots available.
Do they have enough people to go?
It's close.
It's close.
What to consider? You have to consider it. Washington,
You
DC.
should. There were just a couple families that had planned now their own personal family trips, and so then they pulled out, and so it's just, it's close. We're still a go, but close.
Well, thank you very much to our very generous donors and sponsors, and we're very lucky in our community, like you said last month, and it continues to be the case. Next up is a new business discussion and possible action on the final 21-22 financial audit.
So, Ken, let's turn to page 9, and Jeff, we're looking at the audit, and if you have any thoughts, if you had looked at it, by all means, say something to us as you go through it, but page 9 is the night, if you mark that down or grab a look at the copy you have at home. This one kind of is a summary that means the most to me, kind of shows general fund, the final revenues, expenditures, and down near the bottom, they give you the net change in fund balance. We added $930 to fund balance this year. That's about we didn't break even, we're just a little bit better, about 1/10% or a quarter of a percent higher than our budget was. We had a little bit extra, but I've never had a budget in like 15 years of doing this come up that close to zero. But we came out on the plus side, so that's a positive. Last year, we added $182,000 to fund balance. So this is not quite the same, but last year was a different year, and this is the first year of no increase from the state government. So that increased our fund balance from $1,324,000 to $1,301,554. We're right around 20% of our Fund 10 budget as a fund balance, and we want to stay at least somewhere near there over time, at least somewhere near that or a little bit higher. The other thing that often comes in our audits is findings. This year we have no findings, which is really, really rare. It's the first time I've ever had not. There's always were 2 findings that you don't have enough staff to do your own reports. Well, no, but that's a finding that's no longer applicable, I guess. And the other finding is division of duties, segregation of duties. This year we worked with our auditor in between Colleen and Andrea and I and others who get involved with financial things. They took that off as a finding anymore. They think for us, we have segregated as far as we can, and that we have made it as safe as possible, that many different checks and balances go through it. And those 2 are part of that process too, because they're approving requisitions. So there's many levels for a size of district you have. So the first time in my career, there are no findings or no deficiencies, no significant deficiencies. That's the other term that often comes up. So I'm happy about that.
Awesome. Good. Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Routine.
Excellent. Next up is discussion of possible action on space determination for open enrollment.
All right.
We could- I think we
We
need
need
to.
a motion.
Yeah,
Let's make a motion to approve the financial audit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial audit for 2021 and 2022.
I'll
John.
second it.
Thank you. Motion by Nate, second by Guy. Any further discussion on the audit? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Open enrollment space.
All right, before I get started, I just want to thank Mr. Burke, Ms. Treptow, Lisa Roach, our school psychologist and special ed staff, helping me through this process, getting their input as I went through it. In your packet, you'll see a page called Fall River School District Proposal Open Enrollment Special Education Cap 23-24. Kind of have some states jargon at the top with a link, and then down below in the middle there, you're going to have our current numbers within speech is at the top. Then for K, BC, PK, and then elementary, you have 2 sections, and then middle school and high school, you have 2 sections. 2 of our current numbers, in the middle are projected numbers, and then at the end, for the state likes to have us then project out what we would like to do going into the summer in January. So this is a little bit of a trick to know what's going to happen here in the next several months, but we do the best we can. So if you look at the top line, speech language, currently we're at 37. We're projecting currently at 39. I would have 0 open enrollment slots there. We have 1 speech language teacher, and this is Black. She does a great job. We have a lot of ins and outs in speech. You'll have kids who get dismissed, but then you'll have a new batch of 4Kers and kindergartners come in who have need, and then her numbers will climb back up. Our numbers there have been pretty consistent since I've been doing this. Then we have 4K EC. Keeping in mind, Mrs. Heater also teaches full classes of regular 4K students, then also does these services within her 4K program, AM, PM. She currently has 4 kiddos. We're projecting at 4 next school year, so I have currently 0 open enrollment slots to accept students from out of district. Elementary, I did kind of project out what I'd like to potentially see going into next year, as I talked about last month and with Mr. Burr. So I broke that up into K through 3 and 4 through 5. Currently, we're at 7 in K through 3. We're projecting with our kids that we're working with now to 9 for next school year. I would have 2 open enrollment slots available there. We also keep in mind at the elementary level, that is where we do most of our, if kids qualify, we want it to be at the elementary level so that these numbers could climb. And we ought to sort of consider that as we look at this. In 4th through 5th, we currently have 11. We're projecting 10 next school year with 2 open enrollment slots. Middle school and high school, we're currently at middle school level 6 to 8, 16. We're projecting 15. You're going to see 0 open enrollment slots there. High school, we're at 16. We're projecting 22 with 0 open enrollment slots. The reason I made middle school 0 also is because I anticipate, I've already talked to Mrs. Trotter, that early in the year with those 22, which is a higher number, if she's struggling to meet minutes, that Mr. Schultz would then help out with that at the middle school, and we do some finagling there to help out with students. I know there was a question about the rates that we're at. Based on our projected numbers and including the open enrollment slots I've included here, our rate of special ed in not including speech would be 12.8%. The state looks at that 14% rate of special ed in a school. If you get over that, they get a little bit more concerned. So we're in a good place. Talked with Mrs. Orcher, school psychologist. We're in a pretty good place there because some of these students from the open enrollments may not happen. And then if some of the kids working with right now don't qualify, our numbers could vary a little bit here. That would be my recommendation. And if you're wondering what that was like last year to this year, this gives us a little bit more room this coming year than we had last year. Last year, we didn't have as many open enrollment slots available.
How hard and fast is it, like when we say no middle school slots, for example, and a family wants to open enroll in, they've got a high school and a middle school, the middle school has an IEP, is it automatically a no once we set this, or is there room for?
Well, the third Friday count, you don't break cap after the third Friday count, then that's a discussion with the district administrators. If we have space, we want to do that. As long as, I think the biggest piece to that, if after third Friday count, we decide we're not going to honor our caps, we're going to, because you don't necessarily have to after the third Friday count. If we're not going to, at that point, I think we just need to make sure we're making consistent decisions on students we're allowing in. It's when you're not consistent where you get into trouble.
So this does take, kids move in and out of the district. If you move into the district, you have to pay.
Yep.
So we have to have a little bit of cushion for that, because if you move in, there's no choice. We also, according to our policy, have preference for a sibling. If you are, or preference for someone who's an open enrolled student, if you are open enrolled, or you're our current student in special ed, and you leave and you move out, but you want to come back in as open enrollment, we do have preference to be given to pupils and students, pupils and the siblings of pupils already attended the district as required by provisions of open enrollment. So they get kind of first choice to allow back in. If you were our students and you leave, we'd like to keep you our students. So we do have that preference for them and their siblings. If there's no space available, we don't guarantee them, but they get preference over others that who just put in for open enrollment. And we do have qualifications in our policy for a waiting list. Should positions come open, then it's a random draw. These 4 all want that one spot. It's a random draw. We don't give preference to who we think would be an easier kid to deal with. It has to be a random draw.
To answer your question very specifically, but I believe you asked about middle school at 15. If Eric's taking on some of those high schoolers at the 22, that's our tightest area. That'd probably be a bigger discussion there. It'd be a little bit more difficult than if somebody came in K 3, 4, 5 looking at this.
Any other questions for Mr. Berry? I'll take a motion.
I'll put a motion forward to accept the open enrollment special education cap for 23-24 year as on this paper. I'll second it.
We have a motion by Kenny, second by Guy for the open enrollment. Any further discussion?
And one more comment,
Yeah.
this means we're not setting any caps on non-special ed. Because we also could set special ed or non-special ed caps, we only want so many third graders and fourth graders. This means we're taking any third grader, fourth grader, fifth grader, non-special ed students should take them all.
All right, so we have a motion by Kenny, second by Guy. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Okay, no. Motion carries. Staffing recommendations, looks like we have a couple retirements.
Yeah, we have Lisa Hanson Roach, she's our school psychologist. Larry, how long she been with us?
Lisa came on, yeah, she was CISA 5 when we got here, when Mike, approached me about this position. He said, what do you need? I said, I want Lisa as our school psychologist as a follower employee. And so that's what we opened it up and tried to work towards that, because she's really great at what she does, and she was the best candidate we had.
She's a halftime position, so we're gonna be looking to fill a halftime position, find somebody who'd like to work for us. That may take a little while, but we'll be out there looking.
Does that start right away?
We'll start that probably in another month.
Month or so?
Yeah, most people aren't looking to
Right.
switch yet. You know, March is usually a pretty good time when people start thinking, "Oh, I wonder if I want to go somewhere," but maybe we put it out early in case someone's looking early, and then repost it again if we don't get somebody. So we'll just keep looking until we find the person that best fits for us. It will not be a simple task, but we'll keep looking until we find somebody.
She'll be hard to replace. She's very good at what she does.
And the other one is Lyle Trump, who's dead.
He's been with us, I believe, 6 full years. I think this is his 7th year. So he will be retiring, and we wish him well.
And he's kind of mentioned a couple times that not very long. Now it's time. Isn't it?
Sounds like he wants to be around for maybe a sub if.
Yes, when we talked to him, I think if things go well, he'd like to sub and he'd like to still possibly be involved in other ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
And that'll start in March too, looking.
Yes.
What these together or something?
Together.
Each
Together, yeah. That's what I thought. I'll make a motion to accept retirements for Lisa Hanson Roach and Lyle Tropin.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Nate, second by Guy to approve retirements. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. I'm very thankful for both of them, like you said, for the years of work with us. Next up, district reports.
All right. We had a great spelling bee today. It was a lot of fun. Glad to be in here. My son texted me. Spelled a couple things wrong. I sent him the pamphlet of where I was. And he said, "Did you still do spelling bees?" I said, "Yeah, I don't think you'd win." But it was great. Jenny Buzzle, I just want to thank her, Mrs. Mickelson, and Mrs. Reese. They were all up on stage in the hot seats helping us judge today. Yvonne did a great job of organizing it. She's very passionate about her GT pieces. Mrs. Shore did a very nice job getting our stage ready, having the mics ready, having everything prepared. And then I also want to thank Mr. Seichter, because on the back of our medals that our winners got, he did a personalized Fall River, winner. And I have a picture of it on my phone. I believe if you want to see it, he kind of personalized it, him and another student, to just give it that extra special Fall River touch, which I thought was really great. And he's doing a great job. He had big shoes to fill up with Mr. Anderson. He's doing a great job. So our winners today will go on. So it was 3rd and 4th grade, 5th grade, and then they took the winners of the 4th and 5th. And they kind of did a runoff, and then the 2 winners now go on to Portage on January 31st with Mrs. Buzzle. And they'll have, exposure with all these other kids and another opportunity to show off what they got. And it's going to be a great opportunity for them. So I know Kenny, you were there today, so thank you for the parents for coming out. The kids really enjoyed it. And Mrs. Leah and Mrs. Benz were very busy in the office with kids. You had a little stage right here, so
It was a good day overall,
Not like me.
though.
Yeah, right. The last thing, I wanna just, thank Mr. Anderson. If you go into our elementary wing, you're gonna see new entryway rugs. You'll also see it's a bigger rubber mat on the outside of the building. These will help us protect our flooring. He's very conscious of that. And I appreciate that about him with the salt and everything, the little kids coming in. He didn't have runners down our hallway, so this is a better opportunity for when we do have snow to get all that stuff outside, then the 2 runners inside. So by the time they hit our new flooring, that 360 did a wonderful job in installing, that we can preserve that for a long time. So, thank you.
Thank you very
You would
much.
think with us being right next to each other, we would have talked about this, however, I also would like to open. I know, by thanking Ryan Anderson and his staff, so I didn't know you were gonna do that, I would pick somebody else, I apologize, but just goes to show that right now, this is the time when. We're really recognizing our custodial staff and especially Ryan for, heading all of that, I put down, for their work with keeping our building clean, the heat regulated, the sidewalks and parking lots clear, our buses running. They do so much that I think goes unnoticed, that really keeps our school running smoothly. And I think it makes our jobs a lot easier, because, everything is smoothless, with him. It's fabulous. So kudos again, double time to, Brian and his staff, because they're doing a great job. So it's perfect. Updates, John Crombie will be starting on Monday, the 16th with us. So we are very excited. He stopped in yesterday and we sat down, he met with Andrea, I think dropped some stuff off, got his tech all set up. And then met with Michaela and I, and we got him caseload started already. We're gonna have him off the ground. He's gonna be running. So I wanted to just update you on that. We're super excited to have him. Piggybacking off, we do have, I'd like to acknowledge the middle school spelling bee winners. Isaiah De Leon and Henry Stapleman. They will be going on for the Scripps Regional Bee, so they'll be moving on for that. Similarly, Ryan Seichter wanted me to just let everybody know that the lights that are outside that his students were working on, they will be coming down shortly. So if you want to see the lights that the students worked on, they're out in the front of the building right now. They will be coming down, so if you want to see those. And then last, they did raise $504 for dementia, the girls basketball team did during their game last week with Rio. So they raised quite a bit of money. Overall, it's going really well and super excited.
I'll add to mine before Dennis goes. Ashley also started here in elementary special ed next to Ken Sears. She's doing a great job. She's come right in, getting nerdy, or just all in. She's got her room set. She's working with kids right away in the morning. She's really gone home and really excited to be here. She's doing a great job, and I think Kim and Holly and Eric all appreciate what she's doing.
Why did you decide to split up the counselor positions? Is it like going classroom and one individual, or?
So Michaela's forte is elementary. John's is middle secondary, and as we said before, we didn't have any K-12 applicants or any elementary applicants, so it was a kind of a nice fit. But then there are some students that was we had our staff meeting today after school, and they had asked the same question. And what we did was there are a handful of middle high school students that she has created a relationship with, and that with some of those mental health counseling things, she is going to keep them. But we were able, she's gonna stay in the classroom. He is going to pick up one of her current 5th grade students that she's currently working with. So he's gonna dip down into 5th grade, and then she's gonna just keep her, I want to say it's 4 or 5 students, middle high that she's been working with, and then he's gonna take over all the rest of them, so.
Lisa Roach and Nurse Jess and Michaela got together and kind of hashed some of this out, so it was a good team effort.
Thank you very much.
I guess I gotta talk about Brian Anderson too.
Yeah.
I'm tired of talking to him at 5 o'clock in the morning, or meeting him out here at 5 in the morning when it's snowing and ice and it's getting old. But he drove the bus to the north end of the district this morning, and he did last night too, and it was a little bit icy. Most 2/3 of the district, it wasn't really bad, but up there was a little shaky, and he took care of it, and he drove really slow. Got kids here on time, so we didn't inconvenience the entire district to go 2 hours late, so. I guess I should appreciate him instead of be tired of talking in early in the morning. You got your policies there. The policy committee went through with help of so many people sitting right here. And others in the building that had input on transportation or on food service or health services or whatever. So this is what we come up with as proposals. Next month, which we got this meeting was early, you got about 5 weeks. You can go through those and see what you think. Derek and Guy were on the committee with us, and the 2 representatives from Neola with suggestions, and we looked at policies from my last district had this, and then Deerfield and Beaver Dam, and it seemed like there was another district we had. We looked at what they put down for this, plus the recommendations from the people in Neola. And some of this is, especially the discrimination or things like that, you don't have much choice. The state law says you got to do this. But there were some things that we debated, what should we put in? You get a chance to look at those too, and we can further that debate when we come back in February. And whatever we come up with in February, if we have any change we want to make or discussion on it, that'll be the first reading. And then we would come back again and rediscuss or have any other thoughts. And in March, we'd have the second reading. And after that second reading, new policies would go up on our website, and those would be in place. So you guys have really a neat opportunity to set how will boards for years deal with things, because that's one of your most important things. Set up the policy. So we say the policy tables, go do what the policy says. And we haven't had enough guidance because we have so many gaps in policies, and the district should be set up well into the future by having this. And anyone who carries on their term in the board or brings in new administrators, one of the questions you ask them, how do you feel about the old policies? Not changing yet. So you want to keep that kind of tradition going, because it wasted a couple years, multiple years, by taking a step back. You don't want to take that step back again, because the district wasn't probably as protected as it should be, or the board didn't have their say in what we really want to be doing. And so try to get as much a look at that as you can. Like I say, Derek and Guy, we saw how many meetings we had. We poured over each one of those papers that you see in there. We went through every single one of them. And again, I want to thank these 3 folks for all the time and help that they helped us go through these to come up with recommendations first, and then we went through a vote. Second thing is we didn't have a finance committee because Jeff is jet setting around the world. And we're looking at Derek possibly Monday, January 30th. Jeff had already said that that's a possibility for him. Is that for you? If you can get it 5 o'clock.
Oh, I can, I'm sure.
You aren't running a marathon somewhere that day?
That day, no, that is, looks clear to me. I just both calendars look good.
Okay, that would be the time. And then whatever we come up with that day, we could probably put on a February board agenda if we have things we'd like to talk about and discuss. Calendar we should hopefully have for the February board meeting too. On the 20th, we're inviting staff to come to a meeting and give their input on what calendar we have for next year. We always kind of take what we have this year, move all the dates forward and see what they think. And these folks will sit in with us and we'll talk with staff what they like. Big part of it is when in-service days are, when our parent-teacher conferences, what week is spring break, those kind of things. So we'll have a recommendation for February for you. State Education Convention is next week. I'll be there Wednesday and Thursday. I'll be bringing back whatever I can material for these guys. I'll report back to you in February what I learned. And I got to ride the bus to Montello last night. Yeah, I rode home with my wife.
She did a little bit there.
That's fine.
I just want to double check that no one else is planning on attending the convention. Correct? Yeah. Were
I'll be
you
there.
attending the?
Yeah.
Okay,
School board piece of it?
the school board piece,
Yeah.
but not
I think it's
the, not
Thursday.
the actual convention.
No, no.
Correct. okay.
Thursday, I think Thursday at 2 o'clock, or it's Wednesday.
Whatever
Yes, I have it on my
paperwork you have,
calendar.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thanks for doing that.
Yep, you're welcome.
Do you want the first draft of the policies that we have? Do you want us to bring those back to shred or just toss them out?
I think they can be tossed.
Okay. that's
I
fine.
kept mine to bring to the next meeting, so if someone has a question, I say, well, here are what the choices were. So I'm using those as a comparison of
Okay.
what could have been, than what we chose. So they may not be bad to keep for a little while.
Okay. They're perfect paperweights.
Yeah.
What you gonna do for your nighttime reading?
I'm gonna cozy right up with this.
This is the reduced version. And Jeff, if you come in sometime, Andrea's got a whole stack for you too.
They're more entertaining than they look.
No, they're not.
Derek loves it.
Dennis told me you have to read them word for word, so.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah, right.
Extemporary speech.
Oh, gosh. All right, anything else? Then we'll take a motion to adjourn.
We'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Guy, second by Kenny to adjourn. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Bye, Jeff.
Like,
Motion carries. Have a great day.